The dollar under further pressure, going through 139 now. It looks as though that pressure is not going to alleviate in the short term, which means that rand strength will persist. And yet we are seeing the resources rallying despite rand strength. You think they've finally acquiesced that they've got to follow those commodity prices higher in dollar terms?
Well, it gives me a great sense of comfort because I've been trying to buy and bottom pick a lot of these resource stocks, and they're finally starting to play catch up. And like I said, I mean, you know, calling the rand's not very easy, but at some point as we move sort of 18 months in advance from this point, you know, I do foresee a bit of rand weakness. So I'm positioning myself from a portfolio management point of view, sort of 18 to 24 months out at this point.
Massmart today at 143 rand, and it looks as though, I mean, we've got an offer on the table at 148 rand. The market doesn't think this deal is going to come to fruition. Surely that's the only explanation for it trading below the offer on the table at the moment.
You know, the guys on the desk and a lot of the traders that we work with there at the office trade with a simple rule where you buy the rumor and you sell the fact. So whenever you see the share price trading up on the potential of a rumor of the Walmart acquisition, you saw it move from 120 to 125, and eventually the day before the announcement 134, jumped right up to 148, 150, traded to 152. If you were a shareholder of this kind of stock, you know, you've got to decide whether you're happy with this kind of fundamental valuation. Now, trading at a PE in excess of 25, you know, certainly my advice to a lot of shareholders who were in the stock would have been to say, you know, keep some exposure, but take a little bit off the table, because now you sit in a situation where shareholders tend to get a bit greedy and sort of may throw out the potential of a buyout at 148. And, you know, I don't know, I think relative to the rest of the retailers, I think 148 is a fair price.
We need to talk about this jobs data out of the US. It is the ADP private sector employment report, and we saw 39,000 jobs lost on that front. Market, as I said earlier, was expecting 20,000 jobs to be added. The biggest thing around this is that it is not a good precursor to that non-farm payroll number out on Friday, which could surprise now hugely to the negative.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's not a good precursor, but if you look at it, and you look at the three dynamics that drive the market, and you look at, let's say, fundamentals, you look at technicals, and you look at the overall market psychology. At this point in time, it's purely market psychology that's driving the market to these levels, and there's a great sense of comfort in global markets to sort of participate in underlying equities. So although that data came out a little worse than expected, you know, markets closed up, you saw a run in resources, you saw the US market trade relatively flat, positive, sort of moving into negative territory. And it just shows you that at the moment there's a lot of euphoria in the market, nothing really fundamentally driving it. So now that you are starting to get the first signs of possibly some bad data points, you might see a little bit of a tip over and possibly this little bit of a pullback that you're talking about, bit of a correction in this market. But yeah, I mean, if there is any weakness, I'd like to see it as a buying opportunity.